When did you realize your sibling was fully brainwashed by your parents? From a young age, my parents beat it into me and my little sister that we had to be mentally resilient. After all, it was the only quality that could prepare you for my family's business, the coal mine industry. So while other kids my age were going to Florida for the summer or eating picnics on the beach, I was working 12-hour shifts underground, only seeing the sunlight when my parents would drive me to work. Deep down, I knew it was wrong, but I cared more about getting their approval more than my happiness. Fast forward to when my younger sister Haley turned 10, because I was 12 and forced to show her the ropes. But Haley was sweeter than me, the type to pick a flower and give it to a random old lady in the park, so she was a lot more sensitive too. When our parents drove away and I showed her how to sort through coal for the first time, she burst into tears. "Why don't mommy and daddy want to hang out with us?" she asked, voice shaking. I knew I had to think on my feet. "Haley, Santa needs our help this year. There were a lot of kids on the naughty list, so he needs our help to find coal for all of them." Suddenly, her tears were replaced with a huge smile. "Are we really that special?" "Yep, and since I'm older than you can just take a break whenever you want, but only when mommy and daddy aren't around." She didn't question me any further, and we spent the rest of the day working in silence. I knew she had done well because in the car, my dad exclaimed, "We are just so proud of you guys." By this point, I'd finally realized how conditional their words were, and I just sat in the back seat completely numb. But Haley was still young enough to eat their words up like it was her lifeline. But after the first 3 days, I guess the novelty wore off because I woke up to her standing over me in tears. "I don't want to go to work today. I want to rest." I covered her mouth with the palm of my hand. I told her if she ever talked like that while our parents were around, I would be really disappointed. You see, I had made the mistake of complaining to my parents before, and if they were in a good mood, they'd just slap me across the face and call it a day. But other times, I didn't get to eat for 3 days straight, and the last thing I wanted was for Haley to suffer the same way I did. So when we got to the coal mine, I let her lie on my bag and use my t-shirt as a blanket, and I'd try to work twice as hard so our parents wouldn't get mad at us for being lazy. It sounds crazy saying it out loud, but for so long, this is just the way things were. Unfortunately, I got so good at my job that we never went to school again, because my parents pulled us out and told the state we were being homeschooled. I grew up so strong that by the time I was 14 years old, I was doing stuff that the grown men in the mine could barely even manage. By this point, the Santa lie had stopped working, and she knew it was us versus my parents. But I was still determined, LOL, to build a better life for us. So when I turned 18, I insisted on working for 16 hours a day in the mines instead of 12, and always asked my parents if they needed help with anything. You see, I needed to convince them that I was ready to take over the family business, and it worked. My parents started taking me to their networking events with other coal mine owners. They'd talk me up and make sure that everyone had an amazing first impression of me. After a few weeks, I was able to abandon my family because one of the people from the networking events went behind my parents' back and offered me the role of manager in their company. And even though I felt bad for leaving my sister behind, I knew that this was the only way to save her. And I was right, because within a year, I had become the boss, the big dog, if you will. Mwahaha. I got such a large signing bonus that I was able to purchase a large stake in my parents' company, except it was completely anonymous. So that's how I was able to get in touch with Tom, the guy who was in charge of the security cameras. You see, my parents had security cameras to prevent their company from being flagged, except my parents banned him from ever actually checking the footage. So getting him to send over the footage was easy. I just had to lie about who I was. I wanted so badly to post it online, or even send it to local news outlets, but I knew that would upset my sister. So I just sent it to CPS. And the next day, Haley was standing at my doorstep with a social worker. She was extremely skinny. Her hair looked like it hadn't been washed in weeks, but she was alive. I gave her a huge hug before inviting her inside to take a nap. I had already decided to file for custody and be her legal guardian. The next day, I saw that me and Haley were famous, but for all the wrong reasons. Because my parents had posted videos of themselves on social media saying I had kidnapped and corrupted their daughter, and in the caption was my address. Luckily, it didn't get more than 3K views, but it was still enough for a mob to gather outside my home. Suddenly, I heard my mom screaming to open the door. Full story on channel, link below.